Picture a fleet of self-driving taxis quietly gliding through the streets of London, every single one of them a Jaguar I-Pace electric SUV, every single one of them operated by Waymo. Now picture United Airlines using that exact same vehicle to shuttle its top-tier passengers across some of America's busiest airports. And now picture Jaguar Land Rover, on February 5th of 2026, filing paperwork with federal safety regulators that told every single one of those fleet operators the exact same thing. Park the car outside, away from any building, and do not charge it past 90% of its battery capacity, because the pack underneath the floor might catch fire. This is not internet rumor. This is not clickbait. This is a real, documented recall, covering 2,278 of these luxury electric SUVs from the 2020 and 2021 model years. And here is the part that should genuinely alarm you. It is not the first time this has happened to this car. It is not the second. It is the fourth. Since 2019, this exact vehicle has been recalled again and again and again for the exact same underlying defect, a high-voltage battery pack capable of short-circuiting and bursting into flame. Jaguar sold a little over 60,000 of these SUVs worldwide between 2018 and the end of 2023, and a meaningful chunk of them went straight into corporate and rideshare fleets precisely because they looked like the responsible, premium, environmentally friendly choice. Now those same fleets are the ones parking their multi-$100,000 investments outside, in the rain, away from every building, hoping the fix arrives before the next fire does. Welcome to the strange, expensive, and in some cases genuinely dangerous world of luxury cars that America's insurance industry has grown deeply uneasy about. Today we are counting down 4 extraordinary machines, vehicles that cost more than most people's houses, built by some of the most storied names in automotive history, that have become financial landmines for the very companies whose entire business model is built on calculating risk for a living. Here is the thing most car buyers never think about until it is far too late. In America, auto insurance is not a flat fee stamped onto every vehicle equally. It is a probability calculation, and every major carrier, from Geico to Progressive to State Farm, runs your vehicle identification number through actuarial tables weighing 4 core variables. How likely is this car to be stolen? How likely is this car to be in a serious accident? How expensive is this car to repair when something breaks? And how often does something actually break? New York State's own Department of Financial Services publishes an official public guide to what it calls difficult to insure vehicles, and right near the top of the criteria sits any vehicle with an original cost above $100,000. Progressive, one of the largest auto insurers in the entire country, states plainly on its own website that it will not write a standard policy on any vehicle valued over $150,000. Full stop, no exceptions. Cross that threshold, and it does not matter how spotless your driving record is. You get routed into what the industry politely calls the non-standard market, hunting down a specialty underwriter, the same category of company that handles gray market imports, kit cars, and genuine classics, who deals exclusively in high-value, high-risk vehicles, often at a price that functions as what one industry analyst bluntly called a polite decline dressed up as a quote. Consumer Reports has documented this exact phenomenon directly, quoting risk management experts who confirm that underwriting guidelines shift constantly, and that a rejection from 1 or 2 mainstream carriers does not mean a vehicle is uninsurable everywhere, it just means the math has stopped working in that carrier's favor. And here is the twist nobody's selling you that Shiny Lease is going to mention. It is not just Bugattis and Lamborghinis falling into this trap anymore. It is 4-door everyday luxury nameplates that doctors, lawyers, and tech executives are driving to the grocery store right now. Cars sold, or at least once sold, at dealerships in every major American city. Before we start the countdown, if you want more deep dives into the hidden financial landmines buried inside the luxury car industry, hit that subscribe button right now, because this list only gets more insane from here. Let's start the countdown. Number 4 on our list is the Maserati Ghibli, and if Italian styling paired with a Ferrari-built engine sounds like a dream, wait until you see the bill. The Ghibli launched back in 2013 as Maserati's entry-level sedan, and depending on the trim, buyers could get either a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 producing around 350 horsepower, or, in the range-topping Trofeo version, a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8, hand-assembled at Ferrari's own Maranello plant to Maserati specifications, producing 572 horsepower and 538 pound-feet of torque, capable of launching the car from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4 seconds flat, on the way to a top speed of 203 miles per hour. Here is the problem. Maserati officially ended all production of the Ghibli at the close of 2023. It is gone. Fully discontinued. Which means every single Ghibli still on American roads today is now what the industry calls an orphan vehicle, competing for an ever-shrinking pool of specialized, low-volume parts. According to insurance data aggregator Insuranceopedia, the average annual premium for a Maserati Ghibli in 2026 sits at approximately $6,601, more than double the average cost of insuring a luxury sedan, and roughly 3.5 times what the typical American driver pays for insurance on any car, on any given year. A separate analysis from the automotive finance site CarEdge put that figure even higher, at $6,748 annually. And that is before you factor in depreciation, which is where this car truly falls off a cliff. CarEdge calculated that a typical new Ghibli, purchased for around $145,683, will shed $103,755 of its value within just 5 years, leaving a residual worth of only $41,928. Insurance underwriters do not just look at what a car is worth today. They look at how fast that value is collapsing, because a vehicle in freefall depreciation, combined with scarce and discontinued replacement parts, makes calculating what is called an agreed value policy a genuine headache. Add it all up, and over just 5 years of ownership, insurance alone on a Ghibli will run you more than $33,700. That is before a single oil change. Moving on to number 3, and the intensity is about to escalate significantly, because we're talking about the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, a car so fast and so financially chaotic that Alfa Romeo itself pulled it out of the United States entirely. Under the hood sits a 2.9-liter twin-turbo V6, internally codenamed the 690T, an engine so closely related to Ferrari's own turbocharged V6 family that motoring journalists have spent a decade debating exactly how much Ferrari engineering is baked into it, even though Alfa Romeo has never officially confirmed a joint development program. Whatever its parentage, the numbers are not in dispute. 505 horsepower at 6,500 RPM, 443 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of 3.8 seconds in a car that sends every single one of those horses exclusively to the rear wheels, on the way to a top speed of 191 miles per hour. When Alfa Romeo took the sedan to Germany's legendary Nürburgring circuit, it posted a lap time of 7 minutes and 32 seconds, a time the manufacturer billed at the time as the fastest ever recorded by a 4-door production sedan. This is not a poser's luxury car. This is a genuine, race-bred Italian missile. But in the middle of 2024, Alfa Romeo quietly withdrew the Quadrifoglio version from both the American and Canadian markets entirely. Right now, in 2026, you cannot walk into a United States dealership and order a brand new one. The car did return to limited production this year, but only as a 63-unit special edition called a Collision, and every single one of those units is earmarked for Europe, Japan, China, and the Middle East, not for America. So if you already own one, or if you are buying one used, you are now insuring a vehicle whose own manufacturer offers a shrinking level of parts and service support in this country compared to when it was new. And the premiums already reflected serious risk before the car was even pulled from American lineups. Insurance comparison platform The Zebra placed the Giulia Quadrifoglio as the single most expensive Alfa Romeo model to insure in America, with full coverage averaging around $568 a month, which works out to just under $6,800 a year, while other industry surveys put the figure closer to $4,197 annually depending on your state and driving record. Either way, you are paying genuine sports car insurance rates for a vehicle that its own maker is no longer selling new, anywhere in North America. Now let's climb into number 2, and we're talking about the car that kicked off this entire investigation, the Range Rover, known across much of the world, especially in the United Kingdom and the Middle East, by its long-running flagship nickname, Vogue, even though Land Rover's official current American trim names are simply SE, Autobiography, SV, and the range-topping SV Black. Under the hood of the 2026 Range Rover, buyers can choose from a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-mild hybrid producing 395 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque, a 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 producing 523 horsepower, a plug-in hybrid variant producing 543 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque, or, for the truly unhinged, the SV exclusive tune of that same V8, cranked all the way up to 606 horsepower. Pricing starts at $113,300 before a $2,450 destination charge, and once you start loading up an SV Black, the sticker comfortably sails past $200,000. Here is where the insurance industry starts sweating. According to CarEdge, the average annual full coverage premium on a Range Rover sits at approximately $5,079 for a driver with a clean record and good credit. Shift that profile even slightly, add a single moving violation, and the number jumps to $7,458 a year. Now take an 18-year-old driver with poor credit and one at-fault accident on their record, and that exact same Range Rover will cost $27,543 a year to insure. That is not a typo. That is more than what most Americans spend on their entire car, every single year, just for the insurance policy alone. Why? 2 words. Theft and reliability. Land Rover as a brand routinely lands near the bottom of independent reliability surveys, and the current generation, internally known as the L460, has already racked up 12 separate recall campaigns since 2023, including 3 campaigns that federal regulators classified specifically as fire risks tied to oil leaks. The signature electronic air suspension system used across the Range Rover lineup is its own financial time bomb. On the closely related Range Rover Sport, which shares the same underlying suspension architecture. RepairPal data shows a single air spring replacement runs over $1,700. The air compressor adds somewhere between $2,086 and $2,172, and if the entire system fails at once, owners are looking at bills exceeding $4,000 at independent shops, with dealership pricing running even higher. Theft exposure is a global problem for this nameplate, not just an American one, which matters because American underwriters absolutely study international loss data when pricing risk. Across the pond, Land Rover as a brand ranks as the fifth most stolen manufacturer in the United Kingdom, with 3,690 vehicles snatched in a single recent year according to industry publication What Car, and Range Rover models routinely sit in the very highest United Kingdom insurance risk bands, groups 47 through 50 out of a 50 group scale, right alongside dedicated supercars. Combine that kind of theft exposure, a genuinely rocky reliability history documented across more than a decade of federal complaint data, and repair bills that make a mechanic wince, and you have got America's insurance companies treating the Range Rover less like a luxury SUV and more like a rolling liability. And now, the number one spot, the holy grail of this entire list, the car that insurance underwriters genuinely dread, the Jaguar I-Pace. Launched in 2018 as Jaguar's first-ever mass-production electric vehicle, the I-Pace was billed as Britain's answer to Tesla, packing a claimed range of 298 miles under European testing standards, though America's own Environmental Protection Agency rated it far more conservatively at just 246 miles. But range was never this car's real problem. Fire was. Beginning in 2019, Jaguar Land Rover started recalling I-Pace SUVs over a high-voltage battery pack, supplied by LG Energy Solution, that regulators found could experience what is officially termed thermal overload, meaning the battery can heat up to the point of producing smoke or outright flame. Engineers traced the root cause to folded anode tabs inside the battery cells, a manufacturing flaw that raises the risk of internal short circuits. This has not been a one-time fix. Jaguar has issued recall after recall, filed with federal safety regulators under case numbers 23V369, 24V085, 24V086, and, most recently, on February 5 of 2026, an entirely new recall, case number 26V067. Covering 2,278 vehicles from the 2020 and 2021 model years. Owners under every single one of these recalls have been told the exact same unsettling thing. Park outside, away from any building, and cap your charge at 90%, because the interim fix is nothing more than a software limit while engineers scramble for a permanent solution that, 6 years later, still does not fully exist. Jaguar has already had to repurchase roughly 2,760 of these vehicles outright under a formal buyback program, and federal judges in both New Jersey and California have allowed class action lawsuits to proceed, accusing Jaguar of selling vehicles with a known battery defect without properly disclosing the risk to buyers. Then, by the middle of 2024, Jaguar wound down production of the I-Pace entirely, folding it into a total company-wide relaunch around an all-new, all-electric lineup that has yet to fully materialize on American roads. So think about what that means for an insurance underwriter sitting across the table from an I-Pace owner in 2026. You are insuring a vehicle carrying a documented, federally recognized fire risk that its own manufacturer has not been able to permanently fix after 6 straight years of trying. You are insuring a car whose replacement battery packs grow scarcer by the month, because the factory line that built them has gone quiet. And you are insuring a vehicle whose total loss math, the calculation an insurer runs to decide whether repairing a car still makes financial sense compared to simply writing you a check for its value, gets more unfavorable every single year as parts availability shrinks and factory support evaporates. This is precisely the pattern industry analysts describe when they talk about carriers quietly declining to renew coverage or steadily raising rates until a policy becomes financially unbearable, a slow-motion exit dressed up as a price increase. From self-driving taxi fleets in London to VIP airport shuttles for one of America's largest airlines, I-Pace owners were promised the future of luxury motoring. What they got was a fire recall that still is not solved, a factory that has stopped building replacement parts, and an insurance relationship that keeps getting harder to hold on to. That, right there, is the ultimate forbidden fruit of American car insurance. So there you have it. 4 legendary, genuinely fascinating machines, and 4 completely different reasons why America's insurance industry treats them with real caution, whether that is a discontinued Italian parts bin, a sports sedan pulled clean out of the American market, an air suspension system built to drain your wallet, or a battery fire recall that simply will not go away. Here is my question for the comments section. If money and insurance premiums were completely no object, which one of these 4 would you actually park in your driveway? Drop your answer below, and I will see you in the next one.